Hello, YouTube. There are pages in the history of the USSR that are more like the plot of a fantastic blockbuster. One of them is the operation to eliminate a giant gas flare at the Urta-Bulak field in Uzbekistan, where an underground nuclear explosion was used for the first time in the world to defeat the elements of nature. On December 1st, 1963, a disaster occurred during drilling at the Urta-Bulak field. A powerful release of hydrogen sulfide gas ignited, forming a giant flare as tall as a 20-story building. The temperature at the base of the flame reached 1,500 degrees Celsius, not allowing anyone to get closer than 250 meters. The drilling rig collapsed and the protective fittings were destroyed. 3 years of attempts to put out the fire proved unsuccessful. They used artillery attacks, explosions of conventional charges. Nothing helped. Well, Kamil Mangushev, an eyewitness to the events, recalled, "It was a dead, hot earth. Flocks of migratory birds, attracted by the light, burned up in a fiery dance of death. The torch has become such a significant landmark that it had been placed on aviation maps of routes to Southeast Asia. When traditional methods had exhausted themselves, scientists proposed a radical solution, an underground thermonuclear explosion. The development was entrusted to the Design Bureau number 11. Now this is the Russian Federal Nuclear Center in the town of Sarov, which already had experience in the industrial use of nuclear charges. The staff of the Design Bureau has already studied the use of nuclear weapons for peaceful purposes. It was they who provided the first Soviet industrial thermonuclear explosion in 1965. Let me just add that UFOs liked to visit that area quite often, and I mentioned it in my other videos about UFOs and nuclear power. Before starting work, Kamil Mangushev consulted with leading experts in the nuclear industry, among whom was the president of the Academy of Sciences, physicist Mstislav Keldysh. After studying the problem in detail, the scientists came to the conclusion that it is possible to extinguish a gas fountain only by detonating a thermonuclear charge, so it blocks the well channel underground. On the one hand, this passage seemed safe. There was a desert next to the burning well. On the other hand, the cities of Turkmenabad, Kagan, Karakul, and Karaul Bazar are not too far away, and the densely populated regional center of Bukhara, one of the oldest and most beautiful cities in Uzbekistan and Central Asia as a whole, is about 200 kilometers away. Nevertheless, it was decided to take the risk. The date of the underground explosion was personally approved by Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev, September 30, 1966. At that time, the torch had been burning for 1,074 days. The nuclear charge itself was created in Sarov under the supervision of Vladimir Lebedev, head of this Construction Bureau, Design Bureau 11 laboratory, a specially created commission under the leadership of the Minister of Medium-Sized Machine Building. That's how the nuclear industry was secretly called in the USSR. Yefim Slavsky was responsible for the explosion. On the appointed date, a nuclear charge with a capacity of 30 kilotons was delivered to the depth of 1,500 meters along an inclined tunnel. This is twice the size of the American bomb detonated over Hiroshima. Due to the proximity of the torch and the high temperature, the charge had to be constantly cooled. Finally, an explosion occurred underground. It only took half a minute for the flames to completely disappear. The explosion shifted the rock layers and blocked the gas well with them. The torch was finished. The success at Urta Bulak was highly appreciated by the government of the USSR. Kamil Mangushev and his colleagues were awarded state prize, and the extinguishing method they invented was now decided to be used in fighting large fires in other gas fields. Just a year and a half later, an emergency gas flare was extinguished this way at the Pamuk field, again in Uzbekistan, and in 1972 at the Mayska field in the Marid region of Turkmenistan. So that's what I wanted to let you know about the achievements of Soviet science, and had they not been shackled by ideology and bureaucracy, they would have achieved much more. And I will bring you more stories about Soviet science, about Russian paranormal phenomena, about esoteric Eurasia in my videos. If you like my research, please support through the links you find in the description to this channel. Please subscribe to my channel, and please help me expand my viewership on YouTube and convince YouTube to recommend my videos. Thank you.